Hello and welcome to a special edition of the Daily Climate Show on Sky News. Bangladesh Climate Frontline. On today's programme, we meet those forced from their homes because of the impact of climate change in one of the world's most environmentally vulnerable countries. A global issue ahead of the COP26 climate summit in Glasgow, Bangladesh's foreign minister tells Sky News the country needs more help from other governments. And the floating gardens helping farmers grow crops on flooded lands. Hello and welcome to the UK's only daily climate news show where we track the changes happening to our world right now and meet those coming up with the solutions. And today we have a special edition of the programme all about one of the countries most at risk from our changing environment. Bangladesh, with a population of over 163 million people, is facing a climate emergency. The country is uniquely vulnerable to the powerful and unpredictable impacts of climate change due to its low elevation, dense population and weak infrastructure. Cyclones frequently hit the country. Many, like last year's cyclone Amphan, form in the Bay of Bengal before making landfall in Bangladesh. And the country also experiences extremely heavy rainfall. During monsoon season, at least a quarter of Bangladesh can end up submerged. Last year alone, more than 4 million people were displaced by intense flooding, which continues to devastate villages and farmland. All of these factors are worsening an already dire situation of rural poverty in the country. And it's a problem that's growing at an alarming rate. By 2050, it's estimated that sea levels around the country could rise by 50 centimetres. Now, that would mean Bangladesh losing approximately 11% of its land. With homes, schools and in some cases entire villages being lost, many have no choice but to migrate to Dhaka. They join up to 2,000 people who make the journey into the capital every day, searching for better living conditions and new opportunities. And it's a city already struggling to cope with a growing population of more than 21 million people. Sky's Katerina Vittozzi has been to the slum of Kalyanpur in Dhaka, where climate-displaced people are now trapped in unsafe homes and in a cycle of debt and poverty.
In Kalyanpur slum, there are no road names, just alleyway numbers. It's dark, dirty, and a side of climate change you don't expect and rarely see. Every year, climate change is forcing 500,000 Bangladeshis from their rural homes. Most end up in Dhaka's city slums, where space is running out.
Assalamu alaikum, Nurjahan.
Nurjahan Begum arrived last year from the coast with her family. She tells us they had a small farm, but now they're renting a 2-room shack with no windows and barely enough room to move.
আমরা একটু চাষবাস করছিলাম, একটু তরমুজ দিছি, ডাল মরিচ দিছি। তো বন্যা হয়েছে, বন্যায় সব ভাসায় নিয়ে গেছে। তাই একটু ইতে পড়ে গেছি, তাই ঢাকা আইছি। এই প্রথম রোজায় আমার মা মারা গেছে, কাল পহেলা রোজায় আমার মা মারা গেছে। আমার আর কেউ নাই দুনিয়াতে, আমি একটা ভাই আছে সেখানে। এই ছেলেপেলে তাই।
Bangladesh is on the climate change front line. It's geographically vulnerable to rising sea levels and stronger cyclones. Most climate migrants were fishermen or farmers. They've seen their homes, livelihoods, even their land disappear.
দেখি দাগ দেনা দিয়া যাইতে পারি কিনা আল্লাহ নাম লইয়া তার তো আর ইচ্ছা লাগে না আর বেশি একটা ভালো লাগে না কয়েক মাস পরে যাইতে পারি কিনা
Until then, they're stuck in a place where landlords, some with political connections, charge high prices for unsafe homes. Electricity is connected illegally. Sewers flood when it rains. But what use is a dustpan against monsoon rain? And a drain put in to help does the reverse.
That brings the water, but that's bringing the water in. You want the water to go the other way.
Yes, and the water is dirty, he says. It smells. Dhaka is now the most crowded city in the world. On the verge of yet another strict COVID-19 lockdown, thousands of migrant workers have escaped for their rural homes. Climate change migrants don't have that option.
যারা বলে তারা তাদের ধারণা খুবই সঠিক না। আমরা দেখতেছি বাস্তব, আমার বয়স 70-এর কাছাকাছি, আমি 20 বছর 40 বছর আগে যা দেখছি আর এখন পরিবর্তন। নদী বর্ষা হলে সারা জমির তলায় দেয়, মানুষের এই যে সমস্যাগুলি হয়, এই যে দূষণগুলি বাড়ে।
Over the last 20 years, Bangladesh has lifted millions of people out of poverty. At the capital's main port, you can see the trade and industry that has expanded the economy, grown the middle class, but also drawn people to a city that now can't cope.
Dhaka is crumbling. Dhaka is crumbling under people coming here.
And do you think this is the side of climate change that people just don't see and don't realise exists?
Yeah, they don't connect this reality with climate change because they think it's coastal areas. This is something that's going to happen in the future. But this is dystopia. I mean, this is happening in real time, and I think the world doesn't know enough about it.
But people here can't just wait.
She understands English.
Are you understanding this?
She read in class.
In one alleyway, we meet Tanya Akhtar, who's 18.
H T.
Her family moved here to escape rising sea levels. She hopes this small school run on the family bed can somehow do something.
I teaches them English, Bengali, math. They doesn't speak English. I'm little, but I try my best to teach them.
This is Minara, this is Tanya's mother, and she wanted to tell us how proud she felt of her daughter for doing this teaching, but she wanted to try and say it in English. So Tanya is doing a little bit of impromptu teaching as well, so that she can say it on camera of how proud she is of her daughter. Do you want to say it now, Minara?
Minara, bolo.
Minara. Minara. Tell us how you feel about your daughter.
I feel proud.
I feel
Proud.
proud
To my daughter.
to my daughter.
In climate change, there are tipping points, a moment from where there is no return. People here want to go back home, but to what? For many, this is now their future. Katerina Vittozzi, Sky News, Dhaka.
And you can read more about Dhaka and Bangladesh's climate migrants, as well as the day's other climate news, on our website. Just head to skynews.com/climate. With the impact of climate migration in Dhaka clear, Katerina Vittozzi spoke to Bangladesh's foreign minister about what could be done to help address the problem.
This is happening every day. So many people go to the Dhaka city, minimum 500,000 people every year. And currently we can accommodate in our slums, but how long? If there are 30-40 million, they will try to move to the other country. Where will they go? It will be a security problem for the whole world.
Do you think the biggest polluters who have made money from the Industrial Revolution, they should be coming voluntarily with financial assistance?
Of course, the climate issue is a global issue, and it cannot be resolved by one country or two countries alone. There must be a strong commitment. So we expect other countries should come forward, particularly those who really abuse and misuse the resources of the planet. Pandemic came, we are having lot of difficulties. but erratic climatic changes will be much, much worse than this pandemic. We must take action. Action for mitigation, action for adaptation, action for, arranging financing. We have to do it.
Let's take a look now at some of the other climate news from Bangladesh. And the country will host the first virtual V20 financial summit on climate vulnerabilities in July. Heads of state from climate vulnerable forum countries and V20 finance ministers will attend, along with speakers including the UK's Chancellor Rishi Sunak. The group hopes to agree on a series of financial and economic measures to help countries become more climate resilient. The UK government says it's committed to helping poorer countries like Bangladesh with the costs of climate change. G7 leaders renewed an agreement made in 2009 to raise $100 billion a year in climate finance to developing nations. Earlier, I spoke to Climate Change Minister Anne-Marie Trevelyan about how the UK is contributing.
We've ring-fenced our doubling of our climate change commitment to 11.6 billion because we know that that's an absolutely critical part of the support that we put into the international pot. But there is much further to go, without doubt, Anna, and actually getting all those developed countries who can be part of the donor community to go further in the climate finance space is a really important challenge for us as COP president.
And Bangladesh has cancelled plans to build 10 coal power stations following pressure from activists to use more renewable energy. In 2019, 99.3% of the country's energy came from fossil fuels. The government has confirmed only 8 of the original 18 plants will now go ahead, and the rest will be replaced with renewable energy sources. And in this week's episode of Climate Cast, I'll be speaking to our correspondent Katerina Vittozzi about her time filming in Bangladesh. And we hear from the country's new climate envoy. That'll be out from Friday, wherever you normally get your podcasts from. Well, as more people are forced from their homes and suffer the impacts of our changing climate, there are groups in Bangladesh working to protect the environment and defend the rights of communities dependent on nature and natural resources. One of those is the Bangladesh Environmental Lawyers Association, and Rizwana Hassan is their chief executive and joins me now. Welcome to you. Tell us, why is environmental justice work so important in Bangladesh?
Thank you very much. It is very important for Bangladesh because Bangladesh is a creation of the rivers. It is the largest delta of the world. A majority of the people in Bangladesh depend on natural resource bases for their living and livelihood. For example, agriculture employs most of the people here in Bangladesh, and we get 24% of our GDP from agriculture. We are the second largest sweetwater fishery of the world. We have the world's largest mangrove forest in Bangladesh. We have the world's largest unbroken sea beach here in Bangladesh. So the coastal community, the fishery community, the farmers community, they solely depend on the natural resource bases. And that is why I would say that this is very important for Bangladesh. And if this natural resource basis is disturbed, is polluted, is contaminated due to the fears that we are having from climatic change, that will actually disrupt people's life in a major way.
Well, yes, and your work focuses on local communities. So give us an idea of the kind of environmental issues that they're facing and how you might be able to help them.
We are an association of lawyers, so we give people legal assistance. People come to us with different kinds of grievances. They come to us when their rivers are polluted by industries, when their rivers are being used as a mining sector and there are sand extraction and stone extraction. They come to us when the government arbitrarily imposes development scheme on them in the name of coal-based power plant, in the name of private economic zone. They come to us when they're in hazardous occupation like the shipwrecking, so they want protection against the occupational hazards. And we can see that a good number of people are now coming to us, communities are coming to us to protect their forests, which is being subjected to destruction due to different development interventions by the government. People are also increasingly coming to us to get legal protection against increasing natural disasters.
Rizwana Hassan, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Although Bangladesh is one of the countries most affected by climate change, there are stories of hope, solutions and adaptation too. Farmers in the country's lowlands are bringing back a traditional agricultural method by sowing their crops on rafts made of water hyacinth plants. The floating gardens allow them to continue growing vegetables like okra and spinach during the monsoon season. And it's hoped the method could be transferred to other areas of the world facing similar issues with flooding. Well, that's it for this special edition of the Daily Climate Show. Coming up tomorrow, how insects could be the key to making animal feed more environmentally friendly. Thanks for watching. See you then.